The room exploded with laughter, but none of it came from me. My wife, Vanessa, stood in the center of our 10th wedding anniversary party, lifted her left hand, slowly slipped off her wedding ring, and dropped it onto the dinner table with a sharp metallic sound that silenced every conversation. Then she looked directly into my eyes and smiled with cruel satisfaction. "You are useless," she announced loudly enough for every family member, friend, neighbor, and business guest to hear. "You have achieved nothing without me." More laughter followed. Nobody noticed I never argued. I simply looked at the ring and quietly nodded. Vanessa believed I depended on her because I had spent years living like an ordinary operations manager while she enjoyed expensive vacations, luxury handbags, designer jewelry, and a mansion overlooking the lake. She proudly told everyone she was the reason our family lived such an incredible life. Even my relatives believed her version of reality. They whispered that I lacked ambition, while Vanessa carried our marriage. She enjoyed every compliment and every ounce of attention. What nobody knew was that I had carefully hidden one enormous secret from everyone, including my own wife, because I valued loyalty far more than admiration. Still holding the wedding ring between two fingers, Vanessa laughed again before tossing it toward me. It landed near my untouched dinner plate. "Keep it," she sneered. "It matches your future. Cheap and worthless." Her friends clapped, while several relatives avoided looking at me. My father lowered his head with embarrassment. Vanessa grabbed her purse, proudly announced she was done pretending to love a failure, and marched toward the exit as though she had just won the greatest victory of her life. Before opening the door, she looked back one final time, expecting me to beg. I remained perfectly silent. Just seconds after Vanessa disappeared outside, my phone vibrated. Every executive sitting quietly around the room immediately looked toward me instead of continuing dinner. I answered calmly. "Good evening, sir," my assistant said. "The board has arrived. They're waiting for your signature to finalize tomorrow's international merger. Should we begin without delaying further?" The room suddenly became strangely quiet because several guests recognized the company name mentioned during the call. Their expressions changed instantly. I calmly replied, "I'll be there in 30 minutes. Then I placed the phone back into my pocket without another explanation. Confusion spread across the room like wildfire. Vanessa's brother nervously asked why executives from one of the country's fastest-growing companies were calling me chairman. Before I answered, our family lawyer entered to the front door, carrying several folders. He apologized for arriving late before placing important documents on the table. "Mr. Carter," he said respectfully, "these require your approval regarding your company headquarters, investment properties, and ownership restructuring." Every face turned pale. They stared first at me, then at the documents displaying my full name beside billions in corporate assets. Nobody laughed anymore. Nobody even spoke. Outside, Vanessa noticed expensive black vehicles arriving one after another. Curious, she stopped walking and watched professionally dressed executives hurry toward our home carrying briefcases. She confidently approached one of them, assuming they were searching for her. Instead, the executive politely asked her to step aside because they were attending an emergency board meeting with the company's founder and majority owner. "Who?" Vanessa asked, confused. The executive answered without hesitation, "Mr. Daniel Carter." Her confident smile disappeared instantly. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Daniel works for someone else." The executive simply smiled and continued walking toward the entrance. Vanessa rushed back inside, breathing heavily. The moment she entered, she saw every executive standing respectfully as I walked toward them. One after another, they greeted me with handshakes and addressed me as Chairman Carter. The giant television screen displayed tomorrow's merger presentation, featuring my photograph beside the company logo. Vanessa looked around desperately, hoping someone would laugh and reveal it was an elaborate prank. Nobody moved. Even her closest friends stared at her with shocked expressions. For the first time all evening, she realized she wasn't watching a performance. She was witnessing the truth she never bothered discovering. My lawyer calmly opened another folder. "There is one additional matter requiring clarification," he announced. "The lake house, vacation villa, luxury vehicles, investment portfolio, and every major financial account are legally owned by Mr. Daniel Carter through a private family trust established years before the marriage. Vanessa's face lost all color. She whispered that the house belonged to both of us. The lawyer gently corrected her. You were allowed to live there, but ownership has always remained exclusively with Mr. Carter. Suddenly, every expensive possession she once bragged about no longer belonged to her imagination or reality. Vanessa slowly walked toward me with trembling hands. The same woman who had proudly called me useless only minutes earlier suddenly struggled to speak. Tears filled her eyes as she apologized over and over, claiming she'd been angry and never meant those cruel words. She reached for my hand, but I quietly stepped back. You believe I was worthless before knowing who owned everything, I said calmly. That tells me your respect depended entirely on money, not love. The room remained silent because nobody could argue with the painful truth hanging heavily between us at that unforgettable moment. I picked up the wedding ring she had thrown across the table and carefully placed it into my pocket. This ring represented loyalty. I said, Tonight you removed it before learning the facts. That decision wasn't caused by wealth or poverty. It revealed your heart. Vanessa completely broke down, begging for another chance. Her parents quietly cried while several guests looked away, ashamed they had laughed at my humiliation earlier. I thanked everyone for attending, wished them a safe journey home, and politely announced the celebration had ended because there was no marriage left to celebrate after tonight's unforgettable betrayal. The following morning, news spread quickly throughout our community. Everyone who attended the anniversary dinner told the same unbelievable story. The woman who publicly mocked her husband had unknowingly insulted the founder of the very company that financed her luxurious lifestyle. Friends who once admired Vanessa now questioned her character instead of praising her confidence. Meanwhile, I quietly met with my legal team to begin divorce proceedings. I refused revenge, insults, or public arguments. Walking away with dignity was far more powerful than shouting. Sometimes silence leaves deeper scars than anger ever could, and everyone finally understood that lesson. Months later, my life moved forward with peace I had not experienced in years. The company continued growing. My family slowly rebuilt their trust in me, and I surrounded myself with people who valued honesty instead of status. One afternoon, I received a handwritten letter from Vanessa expressing endless regret and admitting she had destroyed the best relationship of her life because pride blinded her. I folded the letter, placed it inside a drawer, and never replied. Some doors closed forever. The greatest success is not becoming rich. It is discovering who truly loves you before life reveals what you secretly own.